Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everyone in between, welcome back to the Drawing Board, episode 10. And what an episode 10 it is. We have a very special episode and a very special guest lined up for you guys today. I won't wait too much longer. We have the man, the legend himself, Mr. Mahir Ahmed.
Okay.
Do you want to introduce yourself?
Well, I can see that I am your teacher. So I thought
Right.
at Westwood, and I'm just about finishing my time. The plan is to retire next year.
Oh,
So
wow.
I'm in Westwood for
Next year.
Yeah, that's the plan.
So, are you still teaching next year? Are you still teaching next year?
I'm teaching, yes.
You saying you're gonna retire next year?
Oh, okay.
No, not
Yeah. We were going to ask that.
we made some solid steps, like we bought a house in Calgary, and
Oh, wow.
and
Okay.
and we contacted the real estate here to sell this house here in Fort McMurray. So
Wow.
I guess you might not understand that is once you are over 60, you could say I'm retired before 60, that's fine, but after 60, I guess it feels deep end that you need to go. That's it. Now, I cannot tell the difference between the teachers and the students, because the new teachers, the new graduates, they are so young, and they so some of them, when you talk about you guys, oh, I graduated, so I was in high school 2010. I said, wow, 2010. So you could have been my student. And the energy too. So that's the plan. It might extend to one more year because the market is tough. The economy is not a good economy. But the plan is that's it. I'm not like usual. I mean, even with you guys, I wasn't giving my full potential before. I used more. Now imagine after COVID and after you guys, it's also the generations changes. Like you guys, the students now are different. We have COVID students, students who coming from mentality of COVID. It's hard to teach.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, we have a
What
bunch
is the
of
main
questions.
shift you noticed? Yeah, I mean, we can just jump into that. What is the main like
Yeah.
shift, I guess, you noticed in the students like pre-COVID and post-COVID? You're saying that there's like COVID students. Like, what is the main thing that you're noticing?
Now, because COVID time, we were mostly instructed to not to give students hard cut, to avoid stress and something mentally could affect them. So testing, we could rewrite, so we could even not test. We could excuse a lot. It but that means in the other end, the students were not really studying as good, and they are used to get away for things. Now they still continuing this mentality, and I'm guessing it's going to take at least 4 years
Wow.
to students go back to their normal expectation. Like, okay, you have a test, you study for the test and come and write a test, and how much you study is this how much is your mark. So
Yeah.
So,
they don't study and they want high mark. And so that is
so actually, both me and Mohammed, we were, I guess we were also COVID batch. Like we had COVID at the best time actually, because it was like late grade 11 and grade 12, which is when our marks like mattered, and so like we basically got like massive grade inflation because of COVID. But then we like jumped into the deep end with university, where like there's no there's no retests or things like that, and it's like you get what you get and you don't get upset. So it's pretty interesting. But like, do you think you guys managed it properly? Like, do you wish you could go back and treat COVID differently in school?
uh, a good question, because as a teacher who looks for high marks and looks for academic achievement and looking for my students to be engineers and doctors and this, I would say yes, it should be done differently, and we should have did it online like normal, like it should be classes, testing, and I also suggested things like what you guys do in university. The browser locks the browser in the testing, so minimizes the cheating, the copying. Also, to more strict to get the academics to a good level. However, that's being a teacher myself. But I think the way they managed it is also good, because I can imagine the mental health and the mental problems and the emotional things that could destroy. So now between which one you have to target, I think the government they looked at the stress side, the emotional side more, and I don't blame them. I want to
Yeah.
blame them to put me in a consultant for this issue, because my consultation will be no tough, tough, tough. It is not the best way. Uh,
So
yeah, they did a good job, I guess, even though I didn't like it, and I think the students were not advantaged going to university, not prepared well, which might also cause them another stress, because now in the university, I don't know, it's not an easy answer to this question.
Every solution has its drawbacks.
yeah, but I'll offer another perspective. For me, like during COVID times, like school was much easier after like during COVID, and it opened like a personal renaissance for me. And like because like we had the internet at this time, like we were free to explore any passions that we had and anything that we might find enjoyable. And I think a lot of students found themselves during COVID. Like it was stressful, but like the question here is really like, is everyone in your physics 30 AP class supposed to be an academic? And would the people who would have been academics just studied it anyways?
We also, this is a teacher's talk. We say it doesn't matter. The good kid is a good kid. I mean, they
Right.
will study anywhere. Anyway, they will catch up anyway. They do the work because they are motivated, and they will do it. And the problem that the problem is the lower and the middle, or the kids who totally depend on the teacher plan. Like they want a teacher to teach, they want to understand from the teacher, they want to be close to the teacher. Those who couldn't get this, they might be suffered the most. But the top few kids who are self motivated, I think it doesn't matter, because they can do the same thing with COVID or without COVID.
So why can't you? I guess this is like my personal like opinion, but why can't you just give out hundreds to everyone? And see like why can't you just give out really high marks to everyone with like high grade inflation, and just like not be the blocker in their future? And then like if they eventually in university struggle, like they can deal with it then. But not getting into university at all is like a very like different problem, right?
My interest in this topic is different little bit. My interest in this topic is it's a kind of immigrants' approach to the non-immigrants' approach, and which is my main point is, we as me and you and Muhammad Ali, we are raised in a different setting. Maybe you guys here in Canada, but still the way we deal with things is totally, the approach is not right. That's what I'm interested in. Is it COVID could be handled better if we have a better way of looking at life in general.
So
Like,
so would
we value jobs and engineering and doctors. That makes our kids stressed. So, but if you, as you said, if I'd say give my the student 100, and the parents they don't mind 100 or a zero, because they are not, that's not the criteria of their personality, that they could have some advantage. But for us, we are limited, or we have one way of looking at thing, and we have to find it is the marks, and it is the success. And I look at your parents too. Like when your parents, they want you to go to university and succeed in engineering, let's say, they want me to teach you to go to university and pass. And giving a student 100, I am programmed this way. I'm programmed the way our culture is. So if I still may give you 100, I would say no, because you go to university, you're not going to make it. The others might not think like this. They would say, I don't care about university, they make it or not. I just want them to do their full potential. So this
Right.
the word full potential needs to be researched, needs to be looked at. What is full potential in our culture, or what's full potential in other cultures? I have an
So you,
issue with this, like an issue with you guys going to be the next generation, and how you should be able to find out better ways of judgment, better ways of choices.
So would you say that early on having that extra level of academic stress is worth it for the academic resilience and the critical thinking that it develops by having difficult assessments, having difficult tests that you actually need to study for, and then that trying to get that 100 motivates you, and then in turn down the line when you're an engineer or while you're in university, that helps you reach your full potential, like you mentioned. Is that what your kind of
No,
philosophy is?
my behavior towards teaching is, I have to be tough. I have to force you to study, because this is to reduce your stress later on, hopefully, and
Yeah.
to be better prepared. Because what you're going to do in the university is going to cause you also another stress and another problems related to you and your parents and your family. So my job is to try to not to minimize it as much by choosing to be mark oriented.
Yeah,
Interesting.
that makes sense.
But
So
the
just
whole,
speaking on that,
the whole thing is like someone is taking aspirin for a big disease. There is a big problem, and I understand my solution is not the solution. It's just to solve a few years of your life. It is not really the solution for the whole situation.
So would you be in support if Westwood tomorrow decided to abolish grades as a system? Like you can't give out grades anymore. Would you be in support of that?
No, no, not at all.
Okay.
Look, I will understand. I will understand the decision. I would be academically, if I want to write a theoretical paper about Marx, I would
Right.
suggest that students have to be free to get to their potential, and the mark might be in their way. But I'm going back to my point. We are not there yet. You cannot impose this solution on a culture that
Oh,
is very, very foreign to them. I mean, you're not going to get the results that you're hoping. You need to go through a good amount of generations change, and to get to a point where the generation will not, like, I look, I know, I taught white kids and non-white kids. White kids, they don't care about the mark. The mark for them is not something make them, or not even their parents. When I receive their parents' emails and talk with them, the mark is 70, 75, 80, 90 is not an issue. Never been a talk. It is the issues of their child being able to can do this, can improve, maneuvering in life. It's not the mark. For me, when I talk with our parents, your type and my type, it is 90 or 91. Is it a mark? Is it 90? Why it is not 91? It's why it is 90, and compare with other kids. Why this kid? I mean, this is which is all not healthy. If you go now and say I'm going to put no marks, it is good, but not in the right time. That requires you guys. That's what my point. It requires you guys to go through a change in mentality, and that requires your age.
Mm. So the thing is, like, yeah, I agree. I agree that the culture behind like this, like 90 or 91 is very detrimental. But it's not only like parents and culture, right? Like 90 versus 91 is also very different to universities. And so like I would say that the other side is that like you have to care about the 90 or 91 if you want to basically continue the life plan that you had for yourself. But yeah.
Yeah, but also I know that is in Canada. If you are above 80, if you're above 80, you can get whatever you want. Like you can be a doctor, an engineer, you can be a scientist. It is not you have to be 95, 99.
It's also
Uh,
true.
Yeah.
but there are some ideas like I hear it, that is, I have to go to Waterloo. So that's one of the issues. You want to go to Waterloo, I understand. But regardless of all other social issues, regardless of you are not working hard, you are not ambitious, you are not conducting yourself academically to the point to fit in Waterloo. So then I want to go to Waterloo is a sentence is damaging by itself to be the only motivation. I need to be in Waterloo. I'm just for example, because some they want to be UFA, some want to go to other places. So it is not it restricts. It's harming the generation. Uh, so I'm coming from your parents' background. I understand how they think because I thought the same thing for my own kids. But I realize
Yeah.
it is not right. If you want to survive,
So that's very wise.
if we go to survive
Um,
successfully in this
yeah.
country, and you guys as
I do have
our
another
kids,
question though.
next generation,
You would
we have to question
during
all.
class you'd often share like very small life lessons,
And just speaking on
like
that line about the
wisdom
difference
or like
between kind of like
stories
immigrant
or
culture
anything like
and
that.
how it is
Was
in
that something that
Canada,
like you
like
planned
would like
Did the
just kind of
Chris,
tell
every
like
time, or is
did
it
the
like
Chris free?
kind of just
Free?
opposite?
he might, I think he's back.
He's
There we
back.
go.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So just kind of talking about like your early journey. I mean, kind of like where you grew up and like where you initially started teaching and like your kind of journey toward Canada. If you can tell us a bit about that.
Yeah. Well, interesting. I'm from I grew up in a village where there is no electricity and there is no water, and I moved. I'm from Palestine, so I'm Palestinian.
Hmm.
So I moved to Jordan, to Kuwait, and then to Canada. All my journey was education. Like I didn't do anything major other than in the education, teacher or a student. And when I came, a family, my wife, she also a teacher aide, and my kids. So it's like school was the main part of our life.
Did you always know you wanted to be a teacher from like a young age, or was that something you had discovered later on?
Uh, no, I thought when I was in I was a teacher, and I used to volunteer teacher when I was a high school, summer schools. The interesting thing that I learned, I was a physics. I'm a physics graduate, so I have physics degree.
Right.
But at the last year, you have to take electives.
Yeah.
So I took my electives in education. So I went to education psychology, and I took another education because I felt that I belong there. It's like my reaction to these issues really made me open my eyes and interacted so deep. And the suddenly I put 3 times, 5 times the effort in researching these educational issues and understanding how a human learn, and the teaching. Then it became part of something. That's what I say. Maybe Chris said that you have to find your own way, so that not don't let the mark leads you. So if I was like free to choose, I might have took education as my studies, like my major studies. But then I continued with my education. I got the education degree, uh, what they call it, major and minor. I don't know how they call it in Canada. So I
Right.
majored
Yeah.
in physics and minored in education. And
Right.
after that, I was 22 years old. I started teaching after graduation, and since that time, education is all the time is challenging profession for me. because it's something I like, something I mix, like emotionally, I take it emotional. It's a hard job. It is something you like, uh, but it's challenging.
Yeah, definitely.
One of the challenges I had that when I started teaching, because when I came to Canada, I taught in the uh, immigrant school, like Islamic schools, like all
Okay.
from Middle East and Pakistan and Somalia. So
Right.
that was my coming to Canada. When I came to Westwood, because I taught these schools like I used to teach back home, like
Mm.
teaching rough and hard and demanding. So also the accent part, because I speak English like they all speak the same thing, so we didn't have a problem. So suddenly I came to Westwood, and I only had in the 2000 only one black kid, and all of them white kids, white from
Wow.
Newfoundland, white from here. So suddenly my way of talking was so weird to them, because some of them they never heard English without accent. You know,
Wow.
some people coming from farms or some
Yeah.
communities, they never heard an accented English.
Mm.
Then I started to learn, and that was a big challenge to adjust. Then I noticed that is not a big issue, because now maybe in the university now too, you have your professors too. They do the same thing. That's what I
Yeah.
learned.
Yeah. All
It's true.
professors have accents. Yeah.
Heavy accents.
Heavy
Yeah.
accent.
Yeah.
This is Canada at the end. Canada is, which is the good thing about Canada.
Yeah.
Uh,
So
that
you're saying that Westwood is going to remodel though. I'm curious to hear about
yeah,
that.
because the government they have a fund for all the schools to maintain. So I think Westwood and Timberley School, they were at the top of the list that the government willing to give them money to remodel.
Mhm.
They showed us some drawings, and how the engineer is looking, what's the change. So it's going to be a very different school.
Wow.
And
They
I told the principal that this is sad, because some things in Westwood is Westwood, like the pit. If you remove the pit
Yeah.
yeah.
and the trees,
They're removing the pit.
oh yeah,
But
and
they're moving a tree.
and the
No.
trees are gone. And some things that
No.
I told them, some things is that's what's Westwood. That Westwood is. When you
Yeah.
see Westwood, you see the meetings on around the pit, the gathering,
Yeah.
the places, and the remodel, and the color too, like the red is going to be all
Wow.
drywall white.
Wow.
That's so sad.
I mean, we talk about Westwood like it like looks like a prison. But that's home, you know? That's
Yeah.
like where we grew up, where we learned.
yeah, maybe that is going to be very shiny and open and lots of lights.
Wow. So what's gonna happen to all the students for the next couple of years?
No, it's in the early stages. Like this is still a proposal, and to get it to start to happen, it might take 2 to 3 years.
Oh, okay.
And when they do it, they're going to do it section by section. So they close a section,
Yeah.
and the rest will be operating, and then it will continue to do the work.
Apart from like physically, now that we're seeing that big change, like in your years having taught at Westwood, what are some of the major like shifts you've seen? You mentioned like obviously there are a lot more immigrant kids now with like the AP program and everything, but like in general, like the culture and like the students, like what are the major changes you've seen over your 15, 20 years teaching at Westwood?
Yeah, yeah, I saw a change. It is for sure. It is a big change, and the change. I can't say, and I tell this to the teachers too. The Westwood went from almost 99% white to 99% brown.
Yeah.
Uh,
True.
Now, and in my classes, especially I teach this the math and the physics, almost 100% brown. Like Hardly
Yeah.
to see any white kid. Now,
Yeah.
even now, if you walk in the school, like in the pit, you won't see any white kid. They are there, but where do they sit? I don't know. But
Yeah.
it's all brown kids, and I think this was one of the major changes that impacted everything else.
Oh, okay.
Impacted that this is one culture school that it's like we are in India or Pakistan school. Like I don't know, maybe I don't know. You guys maybe understand more. That is what happens in back home schools: competition over marks,
Yeah.
tricks on other things, cheating, a huge issue. Because what is the most important thing is the mark. It's not the ethics.
Yeah.
The all of these negative cultural things uh, 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 practiced without any challenge or without any other culture presenting something else. Uh, so they and I feel that now the attitude towards marks changed, the attitude towards studying, even the under look, students when they ask me a question, I know why they're asking the question. A student asks the question because they want an answer, right?
Yeah.
Students ask the question because they are bothered why they didn't understand the question and they want to understand it. What bothers them is not the answer, is what is why I didn't understand it. If students ask the question because they just want to, they couldn't connect. It was for them something out of everything. They now the questions I get from students is all about what's the answer, what's the answer, what's the answer. It's not about what is the issue, what's the material, what is the understanding. It
Yeah. Right.
doesn't it doesn't spill out to other things. It's just only I am giving them mechanical steps, and I gave up on trying to make them. Do you understand? This is something you now you know what you're doing. I gave up on
Yeah.
this because they are not interested in that. In general, even the top kids, they will come and ask the question, show me how to do this. If you add to your answer more, they are not patient to stay with you. They'll just give me the answer and the steps and goodbye. That's what I need.
Hmm.
And
Did you see that? Did you see that with our class too?
it started with you guys. I mean, I cannot deny that it is not
Wow.
now. I mean, your generation too. We had a big one culture approach, which is was and once I am as a teacher challenged by the same mentality, I cannot fight it because I won't give I won't have any samples to offer. I didn't say look at those what they're doing. There's no those. They're all the same thing,
Mm.
and they all have the same values. And I said to the board here in Fort McMurray, it is wrong. Having Westwood and McTavish, two high schools, destroyed us, the immigrants, because you put us in one location and you made our kids deepen the negatives and you just as maybe the word jail is not bad to say. You put them together in one place and you okay, what you guys want? Marks? Here we go, give them marks, give them marks. Is that happy? You're yes, but this is not right. This is not the right way to approach the kids. They need other things. They need other
So,
way.
so you think the Westwood basically became all the immigrant kids because we had the AP program, and McTavish became, I guess, all the white kids. And you think having that exacerbated the negatives of each side? So for Westwood, we all started caring about marks, we stopped caring about understanding, and then maybe for McTavish, they stopped caring about academic resilience and trying to achieve academics. And you say a balance of the two kind of cultures together would be the optimal.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They have to cancel Westwood as a high school and
Uh,
Wow.
I mean, look, I will be the saddest person on earth to say this. Westwood for me, I in Canada, I'm Westwood. I've been in the same place for 22 years.
Yeah.
But well, I look at the bigger issue. No, I mean, putting us all in one place and providing us with the things that is not really authentically good for the future is not right. Cancel Westwood as a high school. Put McTavish with AP programs, with computer programs, Mr. Mijdani and his program, and the AP programs, and every excellent program. Put them together in McTavish and mix all those kids together and let them exchange experience and approaches. Uh, and that, yeah, that's what you asked me what's changed in Westwood. That's what's changed. And that's what I think that parents
Mhm.
have to be better looking for the good for their kids. Again, can they do it? I don't think they can, because we as parents, we think the mark and the engineering and the medicine. And this is the idea of being a doctor too. This is something is spreading too much. That students, they want to go and study medicine. They go general sciences, and then they are you guys doing that?
Mohammed is.
Doing that. But now it's like
Yeah.
either studies. You're going to be that this doctor thing going to be the jobs will be, because how many graduates are going? There are lots of kids are choosing this thing, which is I also feel it's not right. It's not right.
So then, if you could go back, Mr.
Do
Ahmed,
you think there should be more
renowned
emphasis on
physics
engineering, or what?
If I go back again,
if 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 you could go back, like you're a renowned physics and calculus teacher, if you could go back, would you still teach physics and calculus, or would you teach something in the arts,
no, I
like
can't
English or
do
something?
those. I can't teach English. I mean, I will fail the test myself.
Or like, would you still always teach? Would you always teach
I go
physics?
back, I used to, but I slowed down in doing other than teaching, which is multiculturalism. And I used to be active with other social issues. I would try to inform parents with better ideas to raise their kids and to give them a better focus. I would be engaged more on other than physics and math out of the classroom.
So, so why did you never try and become like principal or vice principal? I'm sure you had the
Yeah,
seniority, right?
I do. I have also a master's degree, and I am the most senior teacher in Westwood now. But this is also
Yeah.
something that is, uh, say, maybe you're not yet in the marketplace. To be some jobs requires other than your being a good teacher. Most of the administration, they are not really good teachers. Basically, they will not they ran away from the classroom to become administrators. In my case, I want to run to a classroom. I like to be in teaching. If I go to administration, I won't be able to do it because the skills that required, I don't have none of that skill. I mean, this social skills required for administration, I don't have it, because you need to be socially very, very smart.
I disagree. I think you do have them. I think you're underestimating yourself. But yeah,
Uh, but if I weigh myself, I think I'm better in the classroom, and I'm better talking with you in this level, or you as my student at this level, other than talking with you when I am a vice principal or as a principal.
Hmm.
Uh, so they
So like in the classroom, like I sorry if I'm cutting out, but you kind of had some like general like philosophy, like you mentioned earlier, like you had an emphasis on trying to understand and like not memorizing. You had like a famous line of like don't memorize and try to understand it. Like in general, what you say some of your key philosophies that you developed over the years being a teacher that have aided you in your
yeah,
journey?
it's good. If you follow my Facebook, because I'm still a Facebook
We do follow your
Uh,
Facebook. We actually have some questions about it
Yeah,
too.
we do. We do.
I said learning is not teaching. This is what I learned from my own pain of doing my job, because I'm a teacher, and I work towards teaching, so to teach and to
Right.
organize, and so all my philosophy of teaching is teaching. However, I learned from my experience is not teaching, it's learning. And a student who
Hmm.
is willing to learn, it doesn't matter teaching. Teaching is not the the focus of, it's not the focus of the process. It is learning what's the focus of the process.
Uh, have you heard of like Bloom's two sigma problem?
Bloom's taxonomy.
No, not Bloom's taxonomy. Bloom's two sigma. So it's this idea that someone did a research study into students that were tutored one on one, like they were taught one on one versus in a classroom, and there were two standard deviations higher in intelligence on that topic than any other student. And so, like something to maybe consider is like, how can we try and replicate one-on-one tutoring for every student?
We do. Look, the white culture are better than us with this issue. They don't maybe have it as a philosophy, but they do it as a practice. So that's why they
Mm.
don't really they don't put in too much effort in teaching, and they will tell you it's the student's responsibility. If they want to learn, they have to go learn it, and they live it. They live the way. But if they come to me, I say no, I have to teach it. So I know I have to do it. No, I have to do it. For them, they say no. I just they have to learn it. That's what they say. They do strategies like tutoring one on one. They have all of their teaching strategies are based on. So that's why the motivated student, who's the one who's going to excel, the one who has a strong motivation to learn, and they seek learning, they are going to excel. The rest are going to be average or below, and that's it. And they are not sensitive to the point why they are not achieving high. They're not really trying to make all the students scoring 90s, let's say. Uh,
So do you think being highly ambitious in school is a strong indicator of people being highly ambitious out of school?
for sure. I mean, being ambitious is a trait that is, you have it and you're going to keep having it in or out of the school. And
I would push back a little on like the idea. Obviously, like the successful students will always succeed. Like if they put in the effort, but at least from having been at university, like I know, like, or I guess Christian also probably echo this. Like we have firsthand experience that like a lot of our professors are clearly a lot better at teaching than others, or they're more engaged in the students and more willing to help out. And we see those classes, we enjoy them more, and we're able to pick up information faster. And then going back to high school, like we had obviously lots of wonderful teachers like yourself, Ms. Simpson at Westwood, and we found those classes very engaging, whereas other teachers might not have been as successful in that way. So in that sense, I would argue that teaching is almost as important as the student and the learner themselves.
yeah, I look, it is. I mean, the two things have to go together. But at the end of the end,
Mm-hmm.
as Piaget guys said, I believe something in education called constructivism. That you construct your own learning. That's why if you want to learn something by yourself, like you feel motivated and you want to go and search an issue and you look at it, you might learn become maybe a professional in it, just because you want to construct it to yourself. You want to you want to satisfy your own self. Now the thing is, it is hard for us to, as teachers, to wait until the student develop this habit to like to learn and seek learning, because majority of the students are passive towards their learning, and they're waiting for someone to lead them, someone to provide for them, and they depend on this. So we cannot but I mean the the learning the students have to know. The thing that's I take on this issue is we as government and teachers, we don't tell the students or have programs to instill in the students that is learning is about you. Go learn. You ask the question. You listen to the teacher. Whatever you put in, it is you're going to learn. Most of our orientation is teachers teach this, teach this. It is all on teachers' preparation. Uh, and also cultural because they in our culture is teacher is the biggest part too. Like we depend on a teacher, and we are not a learning community. That we are not a self learners,
Right.
right?
So, was this your motivation behind starting Colors, for example?
Motivation.
For Colors, do you
Yeah,
remember
yeah, I
Colors, the
remember.
multicolor?
Colors, yeah, and someone wanted to revive colors. I said, okay, if you want to do the work, but we did a good amount of multiculturalism individual projects. It was not bad. We did the Fastathon was a very good activity. The Black Week was a very good week. The Holi, the India, they did a good. I think the Chinese kids did something little. There is a good work, but I realized stopped colors because the same issue. Students are not looking at other than the mark, and they started to come to these places to get recommendation letters and to say I did this to put it in their resumes or in their applications, but in the real thing they don't have they didn't come because they like to do it and they want to do it. Then I slowed down.
So, have you heard of ChatGPT? I'm
But
sure you
yeah,
have.
I tried it. Yes.
So, what do you think, like, the role of that and of like all this AI stuff will be in education going forward?
Well, I just responded to someone who talked about ChatGPT, and he said something that is going to change everything, change education, change this. I said, look, in my journey in this life, I started with no electricity. When we had the first radio, we thought this going to change this is the radio, which was a big device with only two channels maybe. We thought, oh, this is the end of traditional stuff. This is going to change. And then I also left when the TV came, and I was a teacher when they started to teach it through the TV channel for teachers. So biology classes are on the TV. So the teachers comes in, it brings the TV, turn the TV on, and the teacher on the TV start to teach. It didn't take a few years. Then everything was shelved and useless. Then came the internet, and I was in Canada with the internet in 1990, 92, 93. When I went to Toronto to the internet presentation, uh, and they were thinking this is the going to end education, this is going to end this, is going to do that. Uh, Also, in my master's degree, I did teach. I taught. My thesis was about teaching students using the internet. So I taught
Hmm.
one unit in grade 5 using the internet, where nobody knows what's the internet. I was the first one in Canada to use the internet in a classroom for the teaching purposes. But I didn't take it further.
Wow.
I so when they look at the internet, they thought this is something going to change. The answer to your question, this is comes and goes. It's going to add, yes, it's going to add for sure. It's going to change for sure. But I don't think it's. I'm going to take it that much serious that is going to change it. I just listened to a documentary about the ChatGPT and the futures and what it's doing now and its uses in medicine and its uses in engineering and problem solving and all of this. And I guess I don't know. I don't. With my life experience, I don't. I'm not really anymore shocked by these technologies.
Wow, interesting. So you wouldn't say the internet changed the game of education? Like I would say like in your calculus class, if you asked the majority of students where they learned half the material for their test, it would be not in your classroom, but it would probably be YouTube.
Okay. Well, when you ask me when I was studying calculus when I was in high school, I didn't learn from my teacher. I learned from my friends. So we used to, after school, we sit together and we solve the questions. Has nothing to do with the teacher did. I mean, it's not the teacher was, we learned from each other. And we used to have textbooks written by hand, copied by hand. And we thought this is a treasure that is, oh, well, if, because I solved all these questions. And now what you have them on YouTube. The medium changed, yes, the medium changed, but how this has changed the change the thinking process? How did this change?
So it didn't change like the thinking. It changed
Yeah, that's
accessibility,
fine. That's
right?
fine. I mean, that is we'll keep doing that. Maybe it made it easier, but that's accessibility is not the core of the topic. It's not the core of the process.
But for example, like
Right.
let's say there was people like in school who didn't have any friends, right? Like now with the internet, they can learn from YouTube. Now these people have accessible education. And so what I'm trying to get at is that with something like ChatGPT, um, it might be that like every student isn't able to adapt to the teaching styles of their current teacher, but they have their own little teacher in their pocket that will always adapt to their teaching style.
Yes. I mean, that's very good. That's very good. But also we know that is students in general. If you give them assignment that is can be solved easily using the internet and YouTube, they won't even go there. They're going to copy from each other, and they will do it the easy way, right? And I say all the time, is students they will use the internet for their own pleasure and their own entertainment. If you want to put it for education, they will even though it's the same thing. You go to YouTube, but you go to YouTube, watch your clips, the thing that you're following. But if it comes to go to learn something school related, not going to do it. It's the same problem. It's the same problem. You have a book, go to the library and borrow a book to help you to practice more and to see the key, solve the problems in the library, the solved problems and explain the problems. The students will not go and pick those up and use them because the learning is not that. The learning is not accessibility. It's not to have an access to the material. Learning is different.
Yeah, I
So,
guess this is like since this is the first like sorry, I was gonna say like maybe this like since this is the first like technological revolution that like me, Christian, kids our age have lived through, we're seeing it as a bigger deal than it is. But you having lived through like the cell phone revolution, the internet revolution, the radio revolution, all that, like your experience on that is kind of informing you that's not going to be that big
let
of a
me
deal,
give you
which is
an
interesting.
example. Like we have science fair in Westwood.
Right.
So I went to the
Right.
GPT and I typed science fair. I said, what's the effect of concentration of carbon dioxide on the growth of a plant? A very normal, classical, authentic too, because you can do it. You can vary the concentration of carbon dioxide and measure, let's say, the size of the plant with time. So I put that question and ChatGPT gave me I presented this to the teacher. I said, look, this is above average science fair project. It is everything taken care of.
Yeah.
It took care of the variables, took care of the procedure, it took care of everything. However, it left the actual doing, like you have to take measurements, you have to find concentration, say, but it gave a section to say, here, put your chart of collected information and graph it. Here, put the graph, and the rest is and the conclusion and the discussion, all high level, all very good. However,
Yeah.
I mean, if a student print this and they cannot come up with the numbers, then I mean, it's not going to help. You can, because you can find a perfect science fair project right up from anywhere. How
Yeah.
is going to change education? It's not going to change education.
Would you say the bottom? So like essentially, the bottom line is always going to be the student.
However, how is me as a teacher benefit from YouTube to learn how to teach? Now I look critically, right? When I go to the clip, I watch it, and I said, "Oh, this is good for me." I pick it, so this part is good. I go to the other one, I say,
Yeah.
"Oh, this is the background is good." I have a critical, reflective way of going through what I have. Right? It's not like I go to someone and just copy what they did. So I am improving my understanding, improving my performance in a way to help me to achieve my goal better. Will a student be able to do that? Like, will a student be able to go, I want to learn in calculus this topic. Oh, try this. Oh, this is a good idea. Yeah, this is the way it is. Okay, now let me try myself to see if I got the idea. Will they do this? Or they will type the question and they will copy the answer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
So what's
true.
It depends on the student.
so what's the benefit of the
I guess
technology then?
Yeah.
So will you consider if this is actually an interesting question? Will you consider the use of ChatGPT in your classroom as cheating?
I think we are coming to this point. I mean, we are coming to discuss it. I can see it that teachers will come to a point they have to discuss it. Some teachers some teachers still don't know what's ChatGPT. Some didn't do. They don't have an account, so they don't understand what's going on. But now, what is happening with this version 4 that came, and it seems is going to create more interest, and I think the government will start to give us some orientation on this. They would I consider this as cheating? I mean, how would I look at students who I know their performance is 40%, giving me something at a 90%? How would I explain it?
But
Yeah.
how would you even like next year you're gonna get new students? You won't even know if they were 40% before.
No, that's not hard for a teacher to know. Because we use different quizzes, tests, and teachers talk with each other, and we have all the history of the students' marks with us. We have meetings, we discuss lots of those things. I mean, can't tell you. I mean, if a student give me a very high quality work, then when I discuss with them, they cannot answer an easy questions. I will, okay, from where you got that?
So what are the things I guess like you use to like figure that out? Like how do you know when a student is strong when they enter your class? Like do you know that they're going to be able to perform at a high level? Yeah, just based on like what metrics do you use?
I mean, mainly experience. It's not an objective measure, like something you.
Right.
So if someone wants to come and what I ask them, what do you want to do after high school? I'm going to go engineering, and I will look at them and say, I can tell. I say, well, then you have to be careful because this is not going to be an easy ride. Because I know their work and I know their attitude towards learning and what do they do when they are faced with challenges. So I know. However, I don't discount that they might change. They might go to university suddenly and become a better workers, and they give more time, and then they dedicate more effort. But I will tell them
Yeah.
my advice is to try to work on it right now, because this way it's not going to get you through, it's going to get you in trouble.
Yeah. Did you ever consider becoming like a professor or like teaching at university instead of high school? Did you ever consider the change?
When I came to Canada, I came for this. When I came to Toronto, I was in contact with a professor in educational technology, and I wanted to study in Canada teaching sciences, technologies for teaching sciences. So
Right.
I met the professor there. Then Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait, so I couldn't go back. Then the life wasn't in that way, so I went through the system. So I kind of slowed down. But I went for my master's degree, and I got a job of teaching. Then I heard that professors are not really doing well in stability and security of their jobs, because they have to go through a good amount of associate professor. And I mean, it's not an easy
Yeah.
life. So what now I had a contract that is a permanent contract with covered. So I give it up to go to a job. Uh, so professors are not really a big job, a big jump, unless you are like you have your own years of experience. So it's I was going to go to University of Calgary last year and do my PhD with them, but then I changed my mind too.
Oh wow,
Really? Or you're still considering PhD?
that's cool. What would you have done your PhD in?
I wanted to do something, what this talk, what we're saying now. I want to formalize it in more a research idea, and
Interesting.
look at it from academic point of view. But then I said,
I mean, you can do that. You can do that when you retire too, right?
I'm not doing it. No. What I'm doing, I'm encouraging you guys to do it. What I now, why in my Facebook, what I said, you guys have to start studying social studies as as to the professional level, to research these ideas and come back to our communities and give them the best advice. Uh,
So
Engineers and doctors are not going to do it.
I actually this might make you proud, but I work at an education company now, actually. So that's why I'm very interested in this entire like the pedagogy of education.
Good.
Yeah, so I work at an education company, and that's why also, if you remember, I sent you that
Yeah, I read a few pages
essay.
and I have an attitude towards it, but I didn't want to have
Mm.
until I finish it. So I'm still didn't finish it. I read maybe 4 or 5 pages.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. There's no rush. It's I can tell you like the idea is simply that if for music, if we told students to spend 10 years learning the notes of the music, writing sheet music, learning what the treble sign was and the bass sign was, and how to go about writing and composing music without actually letting them write or compose or listen to music, it would be a very sad time, right? And so the idea is like for 10 pages, he uses this entire metaphor of what a terrible life it would be if we made students write down music without ever being able to experience it. And then he says, well, that's what we do with math right now. Math is actually much more beautiful and joyous. And there's a lot of research and discovering to be done in math. But instead we like teach rote memorization first for 10 years. And then when we send them to university, we say, okay, now do the exploration. But yeah, that's the idea. You can read it if you want.
Yeah, but I have an answer to that too. I mean, this is not a new. First, this is not a new issue. This has been in teaching math. This issue was one of the major points on how math in schools should be approached. Is he gone, Muhammad?
He's coming.
No,
He's coming.
sorry.
His wife.
Yeah, my Wi-Fi
So
crashed. I'm not sure if that part in the middle recorded, but we'll just keep going from
It
here.
did. It did.
Did it?
Okay.
Okay.
Why you guys recording? What's it going to do with the recording?
We're publishing it.
Oh,
Do you mind if we publish it?
No, but where? We publish it where?
On
Okay.
Spotify, we have a podcast. Here, we can send you the link afterwards.
Okay. So the idea of why we learn math in high school, it doesn't looks like connected to our real life. And why would I know x plus y equals z? And this is the question that I had with the students too. They would give it as excuse. That is, I don't know what's the use for this. Do I need it when I go and do this thing? Does this look like I need x squared and y and z? But I say now I would say you cannot go to give a kid a judgment on an issue that they won't understand. Now, can you be an engineer and a doctor or a statistical or an accountant without going through? Yeah, the thing is, I know that the kid who's in grade 3, 4, 5 going to come to a calculus course and have to solve. He will need all of these things to solve a question. And once he knows he's going to go engineering and he needs to do the rate of the fluid and the rate of things, and he needs to do everything is in engineering is solved using calculus. So if a kid doesn't see it, doesn't mean we're not going to teach it. Now, if you want to teach it in context, though, if you want to teach it in not just a dry, because I can see both of you.
No,
Yeah,
maybe
my camera is not working anymore, but
that is really changed because the curriculum, the books that are now written, they are all in context. And the theory, what you just said, it is the understanding on the authors and those who write the math textbooks. They are fully convinced that this is a major thing, and we have to offer math that is related. So it is related, and there is a problem with the math teachers. They might strip the real life situations, and they just give it as pure math, and that's another issue. No.
actually, you know what you know what you should do as an experiment, and it's because it's your last years. You should go to try and teach the calculus concepts to grade 7 students. Because conceptually it's not like difficult to understand. It's like the algebra and arithmetic is hard to do. But if you go to a grade 7 classroom and say, this is speed, this is acceleration, these are the rates of change, I think it'd be cool. It'd be a cool experiment for you to do.
Yeah, but in grade 9 they have slope, which is the rate of change, and the textbook has real life situations about that. But
Right. So like there's no reason to teach it as slope, right? Like you can teach a limit by saying, if you take a square and keep inverting the sides over and over again, eventually it'll look like a circle if you do it infinite times, right? Or there's something like that. The idea being that like people think of calculus as this very hard, daunting thing, and when you start learning it, it's combined with a lot of like tedious arithmetic.
Yeah.
But if you skipped the arithmetic and you went to a grade 7 class and just taught them this, and then tracked maybe like 3 years down the line when they start learning calculus how they perform, I think it would be a pretty cool experiment.
by the way, to say it, what you just said about the math approach is a root memorization, and it is not it's not in a real life application or related. By the way, you are talking politics, because this is one of the major differences between the conservatives and the NDP. If you read the platform,
Oh, interesting.
if you read the platform of conservatives, they wanted to change the math approach. NTB was to change the math approach. If you look at those two ideas, they exactly say what you're saying. One of them, like conservatives, they think that the math should be taught the basics, the essentials. Kids have to know how to multiply. They have to know how to the timetable. They have to know to add, subtract. because kids are getting to high school, they don't even know how to do fractions, they don't know how to do basic math skills. So they want to go back
Right.
to the old times. That is, kids have to memorize the multiplication table. The NDP saying, or liberals, they say no. It is a thinking process, and the kids, they have to think through it. So I guess what you're involved in, you're involved in a political issue, and the guy who's you are with looks like to be in an NDP, basically.
Interesting.
I'm saying this, I'm telling you, this is a major issue, divides not just education and teachers, it's also politicians. And I told them, I talked with the conservative guy here in Fort McMurray. I said, how come you guys getting this educational ideas? You're not educators. How would you know? And you say, oh, this is not the right way, this is the right way. I mean, how could you come I can't go to an engineer and say, this is the way you build the building, this is how much weight it can take. I can't. This is their business.
Yeah.
But it seems also in the profession itself, there are still two philosophies competing, which is how to approach math. Math is one of the biggest problems in Western countries, in North America and Europe. The math is a major issue. And so I'm trying to say, try to take it as a bigger approach, is a bigger issue. It's not an easy. It is not just an education, pure educational practice, because it's been debated too many times, and it is flowing to the politicians and using it for elections. And parents are convinced that the conservatives, they have a point, that kids have to go back against what you're saying. Parents are not convinced that their kids have to study pure math, because they are getting to high school, university, weak in the basic math skills, and they're attributing this to the way we are teaching, that we are not teaching. Imagine they're saying that we are teaching math the way that you want, and that is losing, the kids are losing in this process.
Interesting. Okay, to kind of take a left turn. Wait, can you still
Yes,
hear
yes.
me right now?
Muhammad,
Okay.
Muhammad, I can see Muhammad.
Yeah, my camera turned off when the Wi-Fi reconnected.
Okay.
Sorry.
But so in your Facebook, you said this: 2 essentials we need our children to learn and live is spirituality and citizenship.
So the latest one.
What did you mean by that? Do you want to expand?
Yeah, of course, I would expand. This is what I was talking with my son last night, and look, I can say again, you guys have a huge task on your hand to provide our community with better ways to survive and to succeed. You guys have to start to dig in what is working and what's not working, and you have to come to a point to direct the community to go to these things and to avoid these things. And you have to dare, like you have to have the courage to tell that this tradition that we are doing is wrong. And you have to have the courage to stand up to say, even though the culture stresses this, you guys have to stand to say culture is wrong. It is not the best thing for us. So these things that is I noticed from that, I came to the idea is, what do we need in our kids and our next generation to solidly have, so to be successful. and everything is coming from them. Everything is a minor branching. Now, we need our kids to be spiritually stable, to avoid mental problems, stress problems, drug problems. They have to have an attachment to their spirituality. They cannot. They Parents have to keep their kids spiritually healthy, and they have to teach them citizenship. What I mean by citizenship, you have to be a constructive member of the Canadian society, and you have to work to the best because we live as foreigners. We live as we are here. We are still from back home, and we're going coming here to visit, and we're going back. You're not coming here to visit and we go to take the best education and go, or go to get money and a business and leave. You are going to have here, and your kids going to live here, and you're going to be your grandkids and all. And this, and then you have. So what our kids needs to have to succeed? They have to have spirituality and citizenship. They have to work with the high ethics of work hard, no cheating, no tax evasion. They pay their taxes. They lobby for the good. They ask what is they need. They understand the issues. They understand how this is going, and they elect the people they want them, and they have to be involved in this in the citizenship issue. Because I feel we are here like coming as visitors and we are leaving, so we are not really changing to fit for generations to come.
Right.
And that is what I meant. Citizenship and spirituality. Yeah. And I guess again, you guys,
Can you guys hear me now?
you guys have a huge responsibility to understand these issues and provide guidance. Because maybe you are born here, you grow up here, and then you are the only one. I can't, as me not from here, I can't. My word is still going to be, you're from back home, these ideas. But for you, it has to come from you guys. And studying engineering and medicine is not going to be the best way to do it.
Yeah. Wow. With all that wisdom, I think we can finally end the podcast. Thank you, ladies and
Can I
gentlemen.
add one point?
Oh yeah.
Or
Oh yeah, for sure.
also, you guys need to look at. I mean, this was I was going to say it earlier. What is the age of 18? How we look at the age of
Or
18 years old. You know, in the West, 18 is a
Yeah.
big issue, right? 18 years old. It is a major transition. For us, we don't have 18 years old, right? We're still 18, 19,
Yeah.
20, 21, 22, the same thing.
Right.
You guys need to look at this and see, are we right or we are wrong? Do we need to keep it the way it is, or maybe we need to reflect on it? So that is
Yeah, it's true. If based on your intuition right now, do you think this age of 18, where people are supposed to transition directly into adulthood, do you think that's too early or too late?
it is very proper. Very right.
Proper? You like it?
I think it's proper.
And I think think the West reached to this conclusion not just because they reached it because of the suffering and because of the experience they had. They, at the end, they find out that's it. 18 is a good social decision, and we need to explore it. We need to look at it and see, is this good or not good? But my judgment is yes, it is good. It is good.
Well, there you have it,
Yeah.
folks. Mr. Ahmed, do you have any last words that you want to add?
Thank you. This is the first time I do something like this, and hopefully,
Yeah, we'd love to have you back on later, maybe.
sure, no problem. If you want to get Mr. Mijdani to about his, did you talk with Mr. Mijdani about his coding?
Yeah, I talked to him a long time ago. We made a podcast, but that was before we started posting this one. So I think we'll get him on
Yeah,
soon.
that's good. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, well with
Yeah,
that,
thank you.
Okay.
ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that has been the drawing board.